Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. How's it going? What's going on? It's Sunday morning, and this is a pre-record, and I've just had to do this. I've been pestering him all week to do this because if you are one of the OGs, the original group, you will recognise this man on my right or left. I don't know how it's pulling through. But this is my good old pal Mike from the Blue Boys Network, and this guy's been my mate now for around about 4 or 5 years. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it, Mike? When you're not in the same division, it's not like you lose contact, but you can't do content, can you? You cannot do content, so it's an absolute nightmare. But Mike is one of my best mates on this platform. It's great to have him back, and he's bailed me off because we're going to do some bits in Leeds, but he's got more important things to do and more important people to see. So yeah, it's good to have you back, mate.
I'm there, Monday. I am there. I am there. There is my ticket. Obviously, kind of thanks for having me on. And mate, it's longer than that. We've actually been friends because we were friends prior to COVID, and you helped me do some watch-alongs on my channel.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, realistically, I think I probably jumped in your bandwagon probably within 2 weeks of you starting your channel because I saw the trajectory, I saw the potential in you. And we are now here back in the Premier League. So really, I should be saying welcome back to you, Connor. Welcome back to your fantastic audience as always. And it's always a pleasure to talk Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
It is. I was thinking about as well when we were back in the Premier League, and do you remember when we were on Matisse's channel and he was doing the what was it called? It was like the Northern Debate or whatever it was, yeah. and it was just me and you like arguing about Leeds and Everton every week.
Honestly, we used to text each other as we were doing it, just going absolutely ape about it. But yeah, look, mate, it's been a funny old world. You know, you've managed to. I mean, you're almost getting. Well, no, you're triple the amount of subscribers I am. So the hard work you've put in, my friend, has really paid off. You're on this road to 50k. Your hair is all over the shop. I mean, I've got different hairstyles.
Someone said to me the other day, they went, so I had it dragged back because I just got out of the bathroom, and someone said, "Fucking hell, it's Jordan Pickford."
Honestly, I think I actually have sent you a picture of you looking like Jordan before. So, I saw a picture of you looking like, what was the blonde hairstyle? There was Alioski was your old player.
Yeah, Alioski. Yeah, it's basically like a midlife crisis in my 30s. I don't really know what's going on, to be honest.
It's outrageous. I mean, you still, obviously, you look great, and I know, and all of these positive things, and you've got a beautiful partner and all of these lovely things, but yeah, mate, the hairstyle has it's suffered over the last 5 years, mate, but it's good to see you looking well today.
I need to get back to the old days, just I tried a buzz cut once, Yeah, I tried a buzz cut, went back, Mrs. basically wanted to separate with me at that point, so we had to move on from that. And how are you anyway? Is everything on Blue Boys going well? You enjoying it? Have you got some content coming up this weekend? I know you're going to the game, mate. You're not a fake fickle fan like me. But what's the plan?
So we'll have as of this recording, we would have done our match preview, which will be out on Blue Boys Network. So if you guys want to come over and watch that, you'll get two very different opinions on our channel because you've got John, who is Stowe passionate blue, and you've got me, who probably slightly more realistic. But irrespective of that, you'll get two different opinions. John also got legged once at Leeds, so he doesn't necessarily like Leeds.
I think you told me that.
Whereas I was once absolutely desperate for a toilet, and literally the Leeds stewards let me use the player bar to have a wee. So I mean, look, like I have different feelings towards Leeds than John.
And when we were there last time, weren't we? I think it was the opening day of the season. I think it was 2-2, wasn't it? I think Rafinha put it in the back of the net in it was the second goal, wasn't it? And we got back into it.
It was interesting actually because it was a game where I'm not going to say I was sitting there expecting Everton to win, but, you go into teams against newly promoted, and Leeds were fantastic, fantastic.
Was it Bielsa or was it Marsh? I can't remember. Was it still Bielsa?
I think it was Bielsa.
Was it?
It was when you first come up, so it would have been Bielsa. It was that... And I remembered you'd started the season. I thought you got a 4-3 result away from home or something. And I was like, I can't believe this is Leeds. But you were fantastic. And I've got to be honest. I mean, I don't want to give too much away before we even get into the video itself, but I'm expecting a fairly quick, positive, aggressive Leeds United side this season as well, I must say.
Well, I've got to pick you up on something, Mike, as I twizzle on my chair like this. About if I've got.
Are you going to get it out as well and start slapping it across the screen as we go?
Yeah, we need to talk about these season predictions that I watched a little, and then we have to drag you back onto this. Leeds going down now. Look, I think right now, I have to be honest with you. I think we need more players in. We've spoken a little bit off air. I think that is the common consensus as well. A week is a long time in football. If you bring in 2 or 3 players, it's different, isn't it? You do that, and especially if you bring in some players who are going to make a massive impact going forward, then maybe the conversation's a little bit different. But as of right now, and we're going to get into Dominic Calvert-Lewin in a little bit, but as of right now, from your perspective, do you think Leeds are going to struggle a little bit this season?
So, but I want to caveat what you've just said. Really.
Have I thrown you under the bus there? Have I thrown you under the bus?
No. So we did our early predictions video, and we always do 2. We do an early one, and we do a sort of end of the transfer window one.
Yeah.
Where Leeds are right now, I think Leeds go down.
Yeah. Which is fair.
That is not me wanting them to go down, just to clarify. But I think Leeds are, in the Championship, they appear to be such a good team going forward. Plenty of goals, pace to burn, would rip teams apart in the transition in the final third and when they pick up the ball. And I was worried about you defensively coming into the Premier League, as I am with every team that's promoted. You then signed, by all accounts, a pretty decent centre-half in...
Beale.
Is it Beale?
Beale, yeah.
You signed a new centre-half, goalkeeper, etc. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking Leeds are, better. But I'm now thinking the other way. I'm now thinking you probably need a striker. And that striker was not, in my opinion, at the minute, Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get you enough goals to stay up. So now I've sort of flipped on my head. I think you'll actually be fine up until you get to that penalty box. And that's where I think the conversation is going to be around Leeds. Leeds are going to be above Burnley. I think they're as good as Brentford.
Got a soft spot in you, Mike.
I have got a soft spot. It's actually Sunderland are the ones that have looked awful in pre-season, but they've got so many players, you just don't know what they'll do. For me, it's between Leeds and Brentford as of today.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Sunderland, isn't it? Because there's loads of context with it. I guess, bringing in young players like they have. I know they brought in Xhaka, they brought in Ronaldo at left back as well, but there's a lot of youth there. And it's different, Mike, how every team's gone about. I think Burnley have actually signed more players, although that could have changed now with Sunderland. I think Burnley have signed a few more players than what we have. Leeds have gone 100% down the route of physicality and maybe like seniority in terms of like players coming in like 24 to 27. You can see that with Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming in at 28. Then looking down, there's a lad who we're looking at now at Milan called Noah Okafor, winger. He's 26. I think 6 foot tall. And you look at Perry, who's the goalkeeper, 6'5", Beale 6'4". The Goodmanson, the left back who came in is pretty good. I think he's 5'10", 5'11", but for a left back, it's pretty tall. Stack in the midfield, 6'5". Got Nemecha, 6'2". Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 6'2". So I think we're going down that route a little bit more. I've coined this a few times on the channel. I think it was Russell Martin who was at Southampton who was saying that if he could have changed one thing from his time at Southampton, it would be going into the Premier League with more physicality. Thomas Frank has said the blueprint is effectively being strong at the back, set pieces, and getting a little bit of luck. I guess in a sense, Mike, I mean, you've been part of the Premier League since it first began, but recently, I feel like that is kind of, you've got to have that technical quality as well, but you just simply have to have that physicality now. We cannot go in and bully an Arsenal. We can't come in now and bully a Newcastle. It doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No, the divide between the EFL and the Premier League has probably never been bigger, certainly over the last 2 or 3 years. And I watched your show, as you know, what was it? I don't know, the 3 at the bottom, the 3 at the top, the 3 up each other.
Second channel, by the way.
On the other channel. It was it was a really good discussion around the 3 promoted teams and the ambition and the way that they've all set up slightly different this season. And you can absolutely see that the Vincent Kompany model, which was play the same way I did in the Championship, isn't going to work in the Premier League. Leeds are doing the right thing because they've still got pace, they've still got flair, they've still got what I would call the player that's got a little bit of magic when they need to have a bit of magic. But you've brought in that solid base, you've brought in that midfielder. The Stack is the player that impresses me the most. I think you paid about 20 million euros or 21
I think it's too good, mate. I can't believe we've got him.
He's such a fantastic footballer, and this is not a dig at Leeds, but it surprised me he didn't go for an established Premier League team who've been in there 5 or 6 years, because, you know, Leeds could, we hope they don't, I hope they don't, but they could go down.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to lose any money on him because he's well worth that value anyway. But it surprised me that he didn't go to an established team. And that actually speaks volumes for me about personality and player trait, because we can talk about physicality, which is absolutely 70% of what you need in your 100% cake to come into the Premier League is physicality. 20% is the quality, the ambition, the ability to beat people standing, etc. But that 10% is mentality. That 10% is absolutely mentality to say, do you know what, we're going to stay in this league. Yeah. We're not going to be bothered if we lose 5 on the bounce. We're going to keep going. As somebody that chooses to sign, when he probably had other options, chooses to sign for a newly promoted side who have got a great fan base, all of those positives, that's a real positive for me when I look at players like that. And I honestly think that it's going to be players like him that if you keep him fit and you keep him playing, you keep the ball going into midfield and him allowed to do what he does, Leeds could very well stay up relatively comfortably. Wolves have not impressed me pre-season. Brentford haven't impressed me. I mean, Everton haven't impressed me, if I'm being frank. So there's no reason Leeds can't stay up, is the point I'm making. It's just they've got to want it.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about the difference there, mate, before we get on to Everton. What do you think it is now? I mean, I think, brutally honest with you, I think the 6 that have come up have just been, it's been that pathetic of an attempt to stay in the division. Like the records that have been broken. I mean, the points tally for the last season was a record-breaking combined 59 points. The season before was record-breaking. Before this season, 66. It just feels like it's a token now, and obviously your Evertons, your Wolves, your Brentfords, your Bournemouth have all then got stronger because, you know, there's no competition. It's vitally important, really, for the pyramid, isn't it, Mike, that's disrupted this year, because if it doesn't, the power for these teams, it's becoming the Super League, isn't it? Not that it might already be there anyway.
Well, there's a Super League within the Super League almost, which is pathetic. But yeah, I completely agree. And I think the other issue you have around that is, you know, when you look at the teams that have come up, you know, let's just mention Luton, for example, because I despise Luton, as anyone knows. Luton come up and then didn't just go down; they went down again, and that speaks. And we've seen that before, by the way. Wolves have done it; they come up, they go straight back down. They did 2 divisions. For a club like Leeds they shouldn't be a Championship team. Let's just put that out there. Let's just say it as it is. Leeds are far too big, both historically, as a fan base, as a city. They should never have been in the Championship for as long as they was.
But Mike, it doesn't matter anymore to me. This big club thing, it doesn't matter anymore, does it, mate?
It doesn't. And on the wider piece, it really doesn't. But when you look at the teams that are coming up, and you look at, say, Sunderland, for example, Burnley, I would, you know, all 3 teams that are coming up this season, in my mind, are Premier League teams. So if those 3 teams genuinely struggle this season, as bad as last season and as bad as the season before, the league has to address it, because that can't be right. Leeds have got to be able to come up and there be less PSR restrictions on newly promoted teams to go and do whatever they need to do to give themselves a fighting chance. And if that is doing a Forest and signing 34 players or whatever they did in that summer, then do it. But for Leeds, and even Leicester last season, I think, and other clubs, to be hamstrung by PSR before they've even got in the league, or they can only spend certain amounts, they've got to bring in revenue, they've got to prove how much they're going to generate. All of this rubbish, it's wrong. Leeds United are a Premier League club, and it's just making sure that the building blocks are there, the manager, the infrastructure, the players, all of that stuff. I honestly think Leeds, out of the three teams that come up, and I said this to you early in the season, I voice noted you.
Now then, you lot, little quick break in play to give a message to our sponsors. Listen, make sure you're checking out this weekend and always OK Jersey, unbelievable replica kits, well worth it, everybody. I've got 10 coming through the door. 10 coming through the door, and I will have them on. I think we've got one Leeds one coming as well, the Yeboah one. Make sure you check them out. It's literally about 15 quid for a jersey. Well worth it when these jerseys are getting more expensive every single year. If you can get a replica, which is spot on, why would you go for the main one? Check them out as well. BetMate doing fantastic offers. I'm involved in game week 1, 10 quid deposit, 650 quid. That's what I'm involved in this weekend. There's pots every single week, and there'll be a pot for Leeds Everton as well on Monday night. Link in the description below for both. But with this, it's a fantasy app where you can change your team, change your 7 every single week. The best 7 where you're going to get points, and you could potentially win that 650 quid. It is merging betting and fantasy football, both of which I'm involved in. So make sure you check that out. Our new sponsors, they've been with us before as well. Also, check out Shop GNO, the best site on the network, run by a Leeds United family. E-commerce, better rates than Amazon, Vinted and eBay. Check that out. Match bingo as well with Leon and Co. £5 deposit, everybody. I think it's 5 cards for the price of 4 as well, but £5 deposit on Match Bingo. Guess what? You get a tenner absolutely free. Do that, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the show.
So much pressure's on Leeds, but not just from your fans, not just from, people looking in, but for football in general. Because if there's going to be a break to that, it has to be Leeds.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. Completely agree. Should we pivot over to Everton then? So much has happened. I mean, it's quite funny when we'll look at it, because I was doing a bit of research on DCL, and it was a lot of the context, and we'll get onto him in just a little bit, but Everton in general, it was over the last 4 seasons, Mike, and it was the amount of goals that had been scored. I think it was 36, 34, 32, like a ridiculous lack of supply goals. And it's funny with Everton, because there'll be plenty of times, and my subscribers will know this, and I think me and you have had chats about this before, where I genuinely look at our attack, and I'd look at Everton's attack, and I'm talking Championship in comparison. And obviously you had Harrison at that point as well, so that helped me. That helped my cause when I was comparing. But you looked at them and you thought, do you know what? I know we're leagues apart, but in terms of technical quality, I think there's a genuine argument that Leeds have a better offensive line than Everton. But I guess the big thing with you, Mike, and this might work into Leeds' favour in a sense, in terms of what we can look at, not having the most, dense forward line, but being strong at the back. And that's, I guess, what Dyche had to an extent. Moyes definitely brought in. That's, I guess, something we can look at as a blueprint. But that has been the problem, hasn't it, for Everton in the past 4 years, really. Since I've known you, Everton have been blunt going forward, really. I think Dan Juma was a little bit of a bit spicy, wasn't it? Anthony Gordon for a little bit, but he was still a kid. There wasn't that much, I've seen from when we've been pals, of Everton going forward and being potent. But I tell you what, mate, has that been addressed this window? You must be absolutely buzzing overall. I mean, if we'd have brought in Dewsbury Hall, Jack Grealish, even probably Tieno Barry, obviously Tieno Barry, I'd be looking around and going, I'm giving us a good chance this year. And you've got that foundation, haven't you, Mike, as well, at the back with David Moyes, and how defensively solid Everton are always under him.
Yeah, we've look, the transition over those years has been mad, really. And actually, since David Moyes left, when David Moyes left, 12 years ago, Everton were a regular European team, finishing in the top 6. Players like Arteta, Cahill, Yakubu. He left a team that had Morales, lost Barkley. He built a very good Everton side that probably should have kicked on. He did under Martinez. We added Lukaku, and we give it a good go for the top 4. That drifted away as that defence drifted away, and we got more lethargic, we got worse, and we added players like Calvert-Lewin, like various people. And we had a couple of decent seasons. People would say James Rodriguez under Carlo Ancelotti was great. We finished 11th or 10th that season. We finished below Leeds by a point, if you remember. I think you finished on 62, we finished on 61.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
We were second at Christmas. So Everton are, and always have been, a bit of a pain when it comes to their front line because they can look good or they can look really poor. Over the last 4 seasons, there's been no good. There's been no positive, no looking at that and going, that is a fantastic football team and that is really capable of causing goals because Dwight McNeil has got no pace. Jack Harrison, I don't need to comment on Jack Harrison.
You do. You will do soon.
No form of number 10. And then we've had various different strikers that have done various poor jobs. Neil Mulpay.
Yeah.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's had injuries. There's been Beto added to that mix. He scored a few last season. Be interested to see how he does this season. But the fundamentals are we were probably a championship attack and have fundamentally been kept up by us as fans going mad, blue flares, all of the stuff, and our defence and Jordan Pickford. So this season is interesting with Dewsbury Hall. Njai was added last season at the bargain, £12 million is unbelievable for him. And then adding Grealish to that, it is exciting. But I still make this point: you can have the best sort of attacking line in the world, but if the person at the absolute spearhead of that is not a goal scorer, is not the best in that position, is not all of the hard work that those 3 players will do, you'll lose 50% of it because he'll miss 50% of his chances. And that's what Everton, in my opinion, probably haven't necessarily addressed now. Tieno Barry, for a future signing, I think he's great, he's very raw. You're not going to get the best out of Tieno Barry because he's not ready. And you're not going to get the best out of Jack Grealish because he hasn't got a ready-made striker in front of him.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I suspect we're going to have a better season than last season, but I don't suspect we're going to actually hit the potential that we could hit, where we've got a solid back 4, a great goalkeeper, decent midfield, and Ghana Guy, Dewsbury Hall, decent attacking options. I just don't think we're going to score enough goals still.
What about the midfield, Mike? The midfield's always been quite interesting with Everton because I know Idrissa Gana Gay's always, he's always had a lot of fans pretty. I know a lot of you guys are fans of him and stuff, but he's 34, 35 now. James Garner's still in there as well, isn't he? Is that sort of a problem area? Because I look at Leeds in this game and I think maybe if like Dewsbury Hall's or Grealish, I don't know where Grealish is going to play, but if he's at the 10 or Dewsbury Hall's in the 10, you've got like a 3 midfield there, haven't you? If you've got Garner and Gay and then potentially, Dewsbury Hall going a little bit further forward. I am looking at like Tanaka, I'm looking at Ampadu and I'm looking at Stack. Maybe even if you throw Longstaff in there at some point, I'm thinking if we sort of get control of that midfield, that might be the difference in the game.
Yeah, and the fundamental is you'll probably see Grealish play as a 10, Dewsbury Hall play as a 8, and Garner play as a 6. Okay. And they almost play as a line. And it's going to be the work rate because all of the players there you mentioned don't stop running. They work hard. They're all workman type players. Tanaka is
he's a cut above, mate. He's a cut above. Genuinely.
He is a sensational footballer.
He
really is a phenomenal player. And bearing in mind you got him in the Championship, what a great signing for Leeds. But that is the area that worries me. James Garner he's a Championship player. Everton need another body in that position in there. We also signed Charlie Alcaraz, which a lot of people are missing.
Alcaraz, I like him. He's a good player.
But the issue with those 4 players, you maybe mentioned take Dewsbury Hall out, but none of them have got any physicality. We were talking about physicality. Ghana Guy is not hugely strong. Grealish isn't usually strong. You worry about that element of the game going up against the Leeds that have focused on putting some, let's just say, brute force in the middle of the park and wider pitch. So, that is the area that you can get at Everton. And then, obviously, we've lost our main centre half in Branthwaite as well for 6 weeks. So, Leeds can go into this game, in my mind, relatively positive that you're going to create chances. It's just whether you're going to take them.
Well, sort of moves us nicely on, doesn't it? Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Me and you have had chats about him, I think, for the best part of how many years now, to be honest with you. You've had frustrations. I've sort of even laughed at points, but no, I think I was saying to you, I mean, your response to me immediately, us signing him, I don't think you were that on it really when it came to us signing. He's not going to get you goals and all this sort of stuff. I guess the conversation back to that is, mate, there's a style of playing for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, isn't there? And a style that's going to hinder him. Do you think Leeds will be able to do that going into this season if they have to play out wide, play a 4-3-3? I know he flourished under Ancelotti that way as well, didn't he? Just hitting the byline and crossing those into the box. We've got a nutter dog here, by the way.
Don't worry.
Sorry. Go away.
Hello, mate.
He's just been chaos. Here he is, look.
Oh, look.
As soon as you start chasing him, he loves it. So go on, get out. There you go, he's gone. But yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, the Carlo Ancelotti system kind of favoured him a little bit, didn't it? With a lot of the overloads, which Leeds do utilise with Bogle, and they'll do it with Goodmanson as well. The 4-3-3, hitting the byline, putting the balls into the box. Look, I'm not seeing him as a finisher at all. 1v1, I'm not. Aerially, I think from set pieces with Leeds, maybe defensively as well, kind of just fits into that physicality mould again. I mean, go on, be honest, be brutally honest. That's what I want with this, mate.
It's such... Calvert-Lewin is like an enigma that doesn't... you can't solve him. Calvert-Lewin was brought into Everton really young, as you know. He started slow. We were more than happy to sell Calvert-Lewin before Ancelotti. We really was more than happy to sell him. And we were looking at strikers. 16-17, he played 11 times in the Premier League, he scored once. 17-18, he played 32 times in the Premier League, scored 4. 18-19, 35 and 6. 19-20, you got 36 and 13. Ancelotti, 33 and 16. 21 to he got 17 and 5, he was injured. 22-23 was injured, but he got 17 and 2. Last season he did 32 and 7, and this season just gone he did 26 and 3. So you've got a striker that over those periods scores an average of less than 7 goals, and he's had 2 decent seasons in 9. That's the negatives.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin is really good at holding the ball up. He's really good at keeping the ball. A lot of people saw the Everton-Liverpool game last season and the season before, and Calvert-Lewin raised to those occasions on both times and absolutely dominated Van Dijk and Konate. So you are signing a player that on his absolute day is a fantastic footballer at holding the ball, bringing people into play, and maybe not getting the goals, but maybe helping others score goals. Yeah. Because I didn't give you the assist stats in there. His assists in most of those seasons, apart from them 2, are higher than his goals. And that to me proves a player that can come deep, control the game, get everyone else in. Calvert-Lewin, in terms of his heading ability, is fantastic. I've got absolutely no doubt you put the ball in the box 10 times, Calvert-Lewin will score 3 or 4 goals. And for a team that's newly promoted, I think that is a positive. Your issue is he hasn't been at that level now in 5 years since he was regularly scoring goals. Yeah. And I think if Calvert-Lewin is the Daniel Farke answer to that question, can Leeds score goals? I think it's a massive mistake to over-rely on him. He went through a period last season where he played 24 times and didn't score a goal. And he played all of those games. He started all of those games between that season and that season. In all competitions, he scored once.
Is there something there, Mike? Because I know you had a huge problem with Dyche for years, didn't you? Obviously 3 years, wasn't it? Could there be something there as well? The fact that he wasn't really facilitated by a manager who was quite negative in comparison to what he's had previously when he's been successful.
So it's again. Not a bad argument at all, and I absolutely get the argument because that was your response to me, to be fair to you. And I didn't really have a comeback until I actually sat back, analysed what you said, and thought, well, I'm now going to do you now, kind of. How many managers has Calvert-Lewin had in those 9 years?
Couldn't say 5, 6.
8.
8, right.
8. It's worked under 1.
Yeah.
So common denominator, Lewin's the problem. And that's not digging, but it's just getting his specific style of play is really difficult. Carlo Ancelotti came into Everton Football Club and he literally told Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you stay in that box. You stay there. You don't go wide. You don't run down the channels. You stay in that box. And Calvert-Lewin scored bags full of goals, and he's got ability. Because I saw, I think, a Leeds account. It might have been your account. Might not be. Where they demonstrated the goal he scored against Spurs, where the ball comes in.
Yeah. He was brilliant that game, wasn't he? It was one against Bournemouth as well. Is that another one? Yeah.
Lewin's got it in the locker. It's just whether you can get it consistently. Now, I'm on the side of the fence. I want Calvert-Lewin to do well. He's had abuse for some of his, his modelling decisions and whatever. And Leeds will all get all that. You'll get all of those things. But fundamentally, when it's come to football, Calvert-Lewin plays with his heart on his sleeve. He cares about who he's playing for, and he wants to do well wherever he's doing. He's probably got inner passions of getting somehow back into that England team.
Yeah.
The change is what he needed, not the manager, not the style of play, not any of that. He needed the change. He needed to come into a situation where he was free of all the baggage, all of the negatives, all of the positives, and he can start again. If Calvert-Lewin hits the ground running, scores goals early, you've got a great striker on your hands. I just don't trust him to keep fit.
Yeah. I guess over the past 2 years, I had a look at it as well, and he missed 10 games, that hamstring. That hamstring for me is always a bit of a... It's always one because I've suffered with it, but we had Manor Solomon last season, and we've had a couple of players now who've struggled with injuries. And we've managed to get them through the season a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know whether or not there's something within the Everton medical team. I am not saying that for starters whatsoever, but... the interesting thing with Solomon is he's picked up another injury now for Tottenham, and there's been a couple of players like that. We've managed to get a good usage out of Byram as well, where previously I think he was playing one game every 35. So yeah, it's interesting to see if these hamstring problems are going to go for him. I know they've been reoccurring, haven't they, Mike? So that's something that I'm kind of looking at, really. I'm not sure.
Dyche didn't rush Calvert-Lewin. The one thing I will absolutely praise Dyche for is he probably did save Calvert-Lewin's career to a degree. And I know that sounds absolutely wild, but the 2 seasons before Dyche got in, he played 17 times, as I said, and he scored very little goals. And that was because he was constantly getting injured. Well, Dyche didn't rush him back. He supported his recovery. He was fit for 2 or 3 months before he even bothered kicking a ball, because he just said to him, I need his body to be able to cope with the constant running, the constant pressing, the constant holding the ball up. He didn't have a ball in any of his practice sessions, and he came back and he was able to then play 35 times and 26 times, which is what you'd hope more. So I think the injury myth now with Lewin, I think to a degree it's probably dispelled, and you probably are going to get a player that can stay fit. It's then just playing to his strengths, which is all those things I mentioned earlier. If you're expecting Calvert-Lewin to get 10, 15 goals, I don't think he gets them. But if you ask him to say, could he get 10, 15 goal contributions?
Yeah.
I think there's a real chance you can, especially when you've got pace, like, you've got Nonto and you've got various other players around the place that have got goals in them, got real quality around them. Calvert-Lewin will absolutely support those players. I wish Calvert-Lewin the best of luck. I really do. But it was absolutely right for a change. I don't necessarily rate him as a out-and-out centre-forward, because I don't think he is. I've seen Calvert-Lewin miss one-on-one for years.
Mate, we've had Bamford, so we're used to it.
So don't expect it. If he's through on goal...
No.
Mate, I've seen it. If he's through on goal, he's got 30 yards to think about how he's going to score. He will find a way of just passing it to a goalkeeper.
It's Bamford. It is Bamford. That is so Bamford. What about, touching slightly on it, Jack Harrison? I'm getting people saying now that he was booed at the weekend, which I thought was harsh. I mean, I was over there in Dublin. I thought it was a bit harsh, but yeah, I'm hoping that we move him on. I'm hoping we get another winger in. Are there any good graces from Everton? Was there anything of which you ever saw with him?
No. If I'm being honest, right, Jack Harrison as an individual and as a character, I don't have an issue with.
No.
I think he's probably a really nice guy. I think he's relatively passionate about what he does, and he worked hard. He scampers. He's only got little feet. He scampers. But
did you see any of this? Did you see any of this? Ball goes over the top, and he goes. Pulls his shorts up, looks up at the sky. Used to wind me up.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, do you know what scares me about him? Like, I genuinely reckon if he was, and this sounds terrible, but I just think if he was more physically bigger, his first touch is unbelievable. His first touch is incredible.
Left or right foot. Yeah, incredible.
Look, I've never seen anyone be able to take a ball out of the sky so well.
Yeah.
But it's everything else. His crossing ability is poor. His ability to beat a man standing up is poor. He's relatively slow. He isn't a Premier League player. I think he played 30 odd times last season and got 1 goal and 2 assists.
Yeah.
The season before, I think it was 2 goals and 3 assists. That's not stats that any team needs. It speaks more of Everton. The fact we actually had to beg you for a second loan of him, to be honest, because by all accounts, Leeds were very adamant they wanted a fee for him last year, and we somehow managed to get him back on loan. And when me and John, anyone that knows the Blue Boys Network, we're very, very outspoken. And when that was announced, and we also had signed Jesper Lindstrom, who is also a very poor winger, I was actually convinced Everton were going down last season.
The fifth season on the trot.
Honestly, mate, but last season looked like there was no hope. No hope last season. It was worse than the points deduction season.
Yeah, Moyes the saviour. Go on then, mate. What we're thinking for the weekend then? What we think? Well, game week 1, I should say, not the weekend. How are you feeling about it? You must be pretty confident going up against a newly promoted side, but Leeds, it's Elland Road under the lights, first game back. I think we're going to make it difficult. But you must be pretty confident going into it now. No,
not really. I think it sounds really weird. Like, if Branthwaite hadn't been injured, I'd have been more confident, being honest, because I think he is so important to Everton. But I think this has got 1-1 written all over it, maybe even 2-2. I think it's a draw. Everton have not had a good pre-season at all, by any stretch of anyone's imagination, but they look better now. Grealish has got a huge job on his hands, because everything is going to come from Grealish and Njai. So if you control the two of them, Everton aren't going to get many chances.
They're very similar, aren't they? You've got Njai, you've got Grealish, good ball carriers, Dewsbury Hall, good ball carriers. Very similar players, aren't they, in terms of 8/10s, really. Good ball carriers, good in pockets, tight spaces. But normally you'd probably expect a team to sign maybe 2 out of 3, or, obviously I know you've had Njai for a season, but it's interesting profiles of players, isn't it? Just in that 3 behind.
It's similar. If anyone remembers Everton from like 15, 20 years ago, I feel old now, Jesus Christ, saying that, but like they had Arteta, Pienaar, Cahill, Osman, and they were relatively similar, all ball carriers, all. It's the way David Moyes tends to build his team. Like he had Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, all ball carriers, all. Yeah. He likes that. I think he's still on the fence about the striking position. It would not surprise me if Everton did sell better at some point to Leeds. And we bought in another striker. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't mind.
And me and you have a chat about Beto, but I don't mind him. But I think DCL and Beto is a bit of a risk. I think they're quite similar as well in terms of style of player as well. Beto's obviously probably more reliable right now. I think that's unequivocally clear. But Yeah. I guess the situation on one of these, Mike, you are the first match preview I've genuinely done probably since I had you on last time. So we always have the set questions, but weaknesses and strengths, mate. Obviously, you just mentioned pre-seasons. What is it? Is it full back? Is it midfield? Where do you think Leeds can get a little bit of joy against Everton, and where do you think Leeds have got to be a bit careful?
We've looked poor pre-season defensively, to be honest. So it's that transition, it's the pace that you've got that's going to hurt us, I suspect. Jake O'Brien's been having to play as a right winger or right back, but he doesn't have a right winger in front of him. So because he's going up the pitch as a centre half, by the way, he's going up the pitch, he's leaving that gap, and that gap there, that channel there, Willie Nonto or whoever you play on the left hand side, that's going to be like. It's going to, honestly, you've got the length of Elland Road to run into and do what you like. You're then standing up Tarkowski, you're cutting inside, you're getting shots off. We saw it time and time again last season. I saw it time and time again in pre-season. So I think that's a gap. I think your other area is probably that base of Everton's midfield, your sort of final third. Because Ladrissa Garner guy he's fantastic and he works really hard and he's really snapper, but there's potentially going to be one of him, depending on what Drewsbury Hall's doing. So if you can overload us in those two positions and put balls in the box, you see with the way that I would play if I'm Leeds, I'd overload Everton in that area, I'd put the ball out wide to the left-hand side and I would deliver those balls. And whoever you start on Monday, as long as they're good with their head, they'll get chances.
So that's how I've said that in a preview. I've said I don't think I'd go with Peru. I know Peru's done decent in the Championship, but I think you probably need a physical 9 up against Everton. I've said the same with Newcastle as well. When we come up against them, You're coming up against potentially Burn, potentially Botman, the Thiaw, the new lad they brought in as well. And then you've got Arsenal, Gabriel, Saliba. You've got to be starting these physical 9s, haven't you, Mike?
Yeah. And this is the sort of game, and I don't know how much. I don't even know if Fark ever would do this. But this is almost the sort of game I play two strikers up front.
Yeah.
This is one of those games where I'd almost go 4-4-2.
Would you start Lewin? Would you start him?
It depends what he's done, because I don't know where he's been training. I don't know what he's been doing.
He said, didn't he? He feels like you're always going to say it, aren't you? But he said he feels the fittest he's felt in ages. He looks very slim as well. I was surprised by how skinny he was, to be honest. About 10 stone. He's about 6'3".
Yeah, he is very slim. But his core strength, the planks he must do in his bedroom are outrageous.
Yeah. We're jealous, aren't we? We're jealous.
Well, I'm not. You're in good shape, mate. I just give up. Do you know what I mean?
You just do the plank for 20 seconds. I'm not doing
it. Where's the cans, mate? Interesting though. What do you think the score's going to be? Because I've got to be honest. I'm sitting there as an Everton fan. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched Leeds for 42 games last season. I didn't. No. But I always keep an eye on Leeds, always. How are they going to cope? And what's the score going to be in this game? And where your weak points can I text David Moyes?
So I think the interesting thing about Leeds going into it, mate, is you mentioned the pace. But in the Championship, on the transition, we were rapid a lot of the time. We were able to break through the lines really well. When we've come up against Villarreal, AC Milan, Man United, you've gone, ooh. Now, I think a lot of it is the fullbacks maybe just being positionally a little bit more aware, just the general pace of the top teams being able to get back into position. And the difference has been stark for me in pre-season in terms of the pace and what we're lacking up top. I think Everton will be able to marshal that pretty well. I think in a Moyes side, I keep up with Everton. I've got a soft spot for them because of you, obviously, as well. And I think when you look at Everton at the back, they're very strong. There's an understanding there. I think even with Branthwaite going out, I still think it's quite kind of methodical with Tarkowski, etc. at the back. I think I'm leaning towards, look, if Everton have an off day, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think Everton need to have an off day for Leeds United to win on Monday. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a draw. As a Leeds fan, would I take that? Yes, because I wouldn't have taken it 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think we needed to win, but I look at Everton now. I'm not sure it's a must-win anymore because, I mean, it would be great if we got a win, of course, but I'm targeting the bottom half teams. I personally think Everton will finish in the top half now. So I think with the signings that you've made, I think the balance in your side, I think Moyes as well. I think there's going to be your end of season form was very good. I think you're going to see it with Wolves as well with Pereira. End of season form was very good. I think they're going to take that into this season. I think you will as well with the additions. So I'm with you, mate. I think it's going to be a draw. You have an off day. I think we nick it 1-0. But if Everton come and, you know, Grealish and Dewsbury Hall have got some sort of synergy and Jai has a good game, I think Leeds could be in trouble because I think there's a lot of quality up there. There's a lot of quality, and we're talking about a different Everton side for me to what we were talking about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Some of the subscribers may disagree with that, but I think there's a lot more potency in that attack now. So would I take a draw? I would. Would you take a draw?
Yeah, I would, because we have been awful, mate, in pre-season. I think you're giving Everton probably a bit too much credit in the final third. Okay. We scored 5 goals in 8 games, and we didn't look very good at scoring goals at times last season. I think it's all too early as well. Shrewsbury Hall's played 1 60-minute game against Roma. It looked good, but it's only 60 minutes. He's going up against the Leeds side that have just come up and really under the lights, Elland Road. I mean,
yeah. That's how we got to win, mate. That's what it's got to be. It's got to be fortress. That's what we've got to make it. And unfortunately, Elland Road towards the back end of our Premier League campaign wasn't that. It was, come and take you 3 points, but this time it has to be different. Elland Road was a zebra crossing to 3 points last time out. It needs to be this time a little bit different. So go on then, mate. You're going for a draw, you're going for a Desi, or you're going for a 1-1?
Yeah, I'm going for 1-1, and I'm just gonna. I saw your video and I saw you see Wolves, and I think was you the only person that give Wolves a good season? I think the other 2 lads were like, not Wolves, mate, are going to be down there with you. I'm convinced.
Do you think? Yeah. All right, okay, yeah. I think with Wolves, it's interesting. I think with how they ended the season, I think obviously Ain't Nori. I think they brought a guy called Wolfie in. Wolfie's coming at left back. Apparently he's pretty decent than the Bundesliga, I think. But it's more like that midfield. I love that midfield of Andre and Gomez, and then I can't believe nobody's gone for the big man up front, Strand Larsen. I think for Man United, it'd have been perfect. A bit more of a physical body up there who could have meshed a little bit with Ahmad and Cunha. I'm really surprised. But yeah, don't know, mate. I think they might surprise a few, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's getting harder and harder to think about who you're going to drag in there, to be honest with you. I'm looking at West Ham. My eyes are on West Ham at the minute. Reports coming out this morning about Paqueta apparently wanting to leave as well. Can they replace that talent? But it's just Jared Bowen, isn't it? It's just Jared Bowen. It's
weird because as soon as it come out, Everton have been linked with Paqueta, and I'm like, mate, come on, let's just leave that there. That ain't happening.
If you could get Bowen, I mean, I don't think it'd ever happen because he loves West Ham, doesn't he? But Moyes, Bowen, that'd be what a signing. I love Bowen, absolutely love him.
How much would that cost Everton? Like 75 million?
Yeah, it'd be a lot, wouldn't it? It'd be a lot. But he's the problem. I think he's the difference between them staying up and going down. He always is. But right, we'll leave it there, mate. Guys, this has been, I was thinking 15 minutes. It's gone on for 47 minutes. Classic. But absolute pleasure as always to be joined by my good mate, Mike. If you see him down at Elland Road, fill him in. I'm joking. If you see him down at Elland Road, make sure you go up to him. He's a top man. I've been down at Elland Road with him before, and listen, mate, if I wasn't doing the watch along, I'd be down there with you. These business decisions, We've been a fickle fake fan. What's going on?
I get it, mate. I get it.
I know. But listen, we'll have to do something. Maybe I'll skip the watch along Everton away and you can get me a ticket. Who knows? But it's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Check out Mike. Link will be in the title and link will be in the description. Go and check him out. We're going to be doing bits this season. I might even put to him doing something on the second channel, which I know he'd quite enjoy, and so would I. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in a bit. Cheers. Bash. There we go, mate.